I just got done interviewing Scott Galliart, who you're going to hear from shortly. And rarely do I bring on an introduction before our introduction with the guest. But this time I had to, because when we got off camera, he told us so many interesting things that I wish we would have captured. I got to at least highlight them. Scott told us he had 35,000 Matchbox cars at one time, earlier before he did the tractor thing. So this isn't just a fluke. This is something that he's got the knack for. Scott is an incredible person. He's going to be working on a few projects with us, I think, in the near future here to help us promote things like air seeders. But without further ado, here's Scott. This is a podcast about collectibles, as so to speak. It's the miniature. Some might say toys, but it's officially the collectible tractors. And we've got Scott from Huxley, Iowa here. And I said, we've got to get you on a podcast because you've got a story to tell and one that's very unique. And Scott, how did we first get connected?
Well, a friend of mine that has bought some of the stuff I build sent me a copy of the video and said, you need to check this out and reach out to him. So I watched it. Then I Facebooked you and found you and sent you a message.
Yeah. And that video you're referring to is the Welker Farms video where we, RedE and Pillar guys, Pillar Drills, we were at Welker Farms doing a demo of a seeder in their field and got to tour the Big Bud. Well, it turns out we get to go in the shop because who wouldn't want to see their Big Bud in person if you're at the Welker Farms?
For sure.
And Scott and Nick were gracious enough, and Bob, their dad, to show us the Big Bud and the cart. At the end of that tour of the real thing, we went in the office and Scott's like, hey, you got to check this out. And he showed us this scale model of their tractor and cart. And it looks so real. I was like, what? How did you get that? He's like, yeah, this guy came up to us at the Farm Progress show and said, I got something for you. And he handed over this toy. And it's so realistic. This thing is 3D printed.
Yeah. You're
obviously got some skill there. This isn't something you just ordered online. Tell us a little bit about the process of making this Big Bud in this cart.
Well, for this particular model, I already had made a Demco cart and the Big Bud tractors, and so I thought this was going to be an easy deal. So I got them out and got to looking at the videos and realized that the cart was a completely different model, so I ended up drawing a whole new cart. And then the Big Bud, I just kind of modified the file that I had drawn previously, and I got on the Titan Tire website and got the dimensions for the tires, and so I could make everything fit. And then just when I get the drawing designed, I kind of go over it and see how everything looks from all the different angles. Then I do like a test print and see how everything looks. Sometimes I have to go in and reproportion things to make it look more realistic or whatever, because a lot of times when you scale stuff down, kind of gets distorted. But I was pretty happy with how it turned out, so I printed a few up and thought, well, I had been on a trip for several days, got home. The next morning, I got up like 3 a.m. and drove to DuQuoin, Illinois, I think was where the farm
Decatur,
progress. Decatur, okay. And I ended up standing in line for like 3 hours at the Welker booth because they're having an autograph session, and everybody kept stopping by. What's going on? What's going on? And we were telling them, we're just standing here to get autographs from these guys, and so finally got up through the line, and I kind of wanted to, I don't know, do it kind of as a joke, like I got something for you, or whatever, instead of me getting their autograph. And so I handed him the box, and he opened it up, and he's like, wow, they got that done fast. And I'm like, no, I 3D printed this.
Yeah, take some of the wind out of your sail. He's like,
and he's like, wow, that's pretty cool. And they took it out and checked it out, and he said that they're planning on having a company make die-cast ones or something, but I'm not sure when or how or if that'll happen for sure. But
well, look how fast you got this to market, so to speak. And not that it's about that, but you certainly made something unique. And if you're watching this on YouTube online, and we'll certainly have pictures of it through social media and things, this thing is legit. This is 3D printed, I understand.
Yeah, so it's resin printed, yeah.
Wow. Then do you paint it?
Yeah, so basically the parts that are all different colors are all printed separately. So I just spray paint stuff or paint and then assemble it all. And so there's probably 15 to 20 parts in the tractor.
Wow. And these are 3D printed tires.
Yeah.
They actually feel like rubber tires almost. Almost like, is it okay to say Ertl Tommy,
Yeah.
Like that kind of style. And what scale is this?
1/64.
1/64. And the thing too is it's functional. We've got articulation, both with the axle and the rear end. We've got the wheels that spin really nice. We've got serious detail in the engine compartment.
So I design everything in 1/32 scale so I can get more detail in it, and then I can print it at half scale to get 1/64. And I have a few printers that are capable of doing 1/16 stuff. So I have done a few 1/16 things, but it takes up to a week to print some of the parts.
Oh man,
they're so big, and it's so much time per layer. And if you're printing something that's 15 inches tall, and it's printing like a millimeter at a time, it takes a long time to print that whole thing. So I don't make too much 1/16 stuff.
How bad you'll have to get like a print farm to do that kind of thing. And here's the cart. This cart's got just as much detail, and most notably the auger swings out, the end of it swivels. Of course, you got the LSWs, the wheels, and even more notably is the decal inside the wheel, just like the Welker's got from Demco.
That was probably the trickiest part of the whole project, was figuring out how to put that in the wheels, because it's like, if I can't do that, it kind of ruins the whole deal, because it wouldn't just be right without it,
Yeah, valid. So you've got a passion and a skill for this kind of thing. You said you can go off of pictures. You often try to get measurements, and then you're doing some kind of CAD.
Yeah, I use a free internet program called Tinkercad. Basically, I started out like scratch building stuff out of styrene and brass and this and that, and people were starting to ask for my models, so I ended up finding somebody that would spin cast them for me. So I was getting stuff spin cast in like a tin lead mixture or something. I'm not sure what the makeup of it was, but went through a few different spin casters, and I probably had about 50 or 60 different toys or collectibles that I was having spin casted and having a hard time finding somebody to do it. So I'm like, well, I can either buy the spin casting equipment for, a $10,000 minimum investment for decent or new equipment, or, just try 3D printing, because that was a pretty new thing in the toy world when I started doing it. And so
what year was that?
I've been doing this full time for about 5 to 6 years now. So, I just Googled what's the best printer under $1,000 and figured I've blown $1,000 on dumber things before, and bought a printer and tried it and worked pretty well, and started out with filament printing, and I ended up with 3 printers and decided needed another one, and thought, well, let's try the resin. So I bought a small resin printer and started with that, and I was kind of amazed at how much more detail I could put in the models, and it didn't have the little print lines and stuff in it. So now I'm up to like 15 resin printers, and they run all the time.
Yeah, you said 15?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, my first thought was, when I heard 3D printing, was you were probably sanding the print lines away and maybe doing primer or paint and getting that smooth. Because if you look at this, you can't tell it's 3D printed until you get real close, or you maybe look at the underside where you see the support lines. It is very, very good detail and very smooth. So that's what I first thought. I was like, dang, how do you get that detail and spend the time? How many hours do you think? Well, let's just talk about this one. How many hours do you think you got in the design of this, and then the construction or final?
Well, I joke about it, but I'm pretty serious about it. I don't have a design background. I don't have computer or CAD background, and I just feel like God taps me on the back of the head, and I look at my screen, and it's done a lot of times because I just sit down at the computer and do it, and I have no other explanation other than God's making it happen.
Yeah.
So
he's given you a gift.
Yeah,
and
and
a passion for it.
The whole business is something that he laid in my lap, and we went over, did a lot of praying about it, and a lot of, okay, if we can meet this goal, we'll know that's a sign to do it. I was more nervous about it than my wife, but it's like we tried it for like 4 or 5 months, and every time we exceeded what our, if we can do this goal, we'll know it's a sign or whatever. So finally, we just decided, okay, this is it. We're doing it. And it's been off to the races ever since.
I was scrolling through your Facebook feed, and it's never ending of the tractors you've put on there of, I got this one today, or modeling this one. And you show the CAD side, you show all that, the building, you show the raw 3D print before you paint it. I saw a whole bunch of steering wheels and wheels on the floor, and they're so tiny, right? They're just like, how do you not, when you're spray painting them or something, they don't just blow away.
Yeah, hold the paint way back.
Okay. And that's so cool. So I would recommend checking it out. Now, how do people see your work? How do they get a hold of something like this? Is this for sale? Is it just for you?
So my business name's S&E Tractors, and I don't have a website, but I'm on Facebook all over the place. All my stuff's for sale through Dalton Farm Toys. He's just down the road from me, so his website has everything on it of mine, and he has it in inventory in the store. And if you search SE on his website on a laptop, it'll bring up my stuff. And I found out last night, you do SE and a dash. It'll do it on his phone, on the mobile, because it has to have 3 digits to do the search on the phone. So that was a discovery I made last night.
Dash SE.
Yeah. No, it's SE dash, or like a minus sign or whatever.
Yep.
And then it'll bring the list up on mobile apps.
SE dash. And I did click on that link you had on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then I saw 388 items that I had to, like, I got to
have, last time I looked on the website, there's 855 of my items on Jason's website.
Oh, wow. So I was going through like page 6, and by then I'm like, okay, is this ever going to end? And my thoughts going, this can't be all his.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Yeah.
So 800 and some unique items, collectibles, as my kids would say, though.
Yeah.
Toy tractors. And these are like, you've got all kinds of stuff. You've got not only the modern stuff, you got, I saw like steam.
Yeah, I like doing steam engines and prairie tractors, and mostly, I like old vintage stuff more so than the modern. So, just like 60s, 70s, 80s tractors, and then anything older for sure.
I saw a batwing mower.
Yeah.
Grain carts. I even saw a potato.
Yeah, I just drew up Alice Chalmers potato harvester this past year.
I can't imagine there's a lot of guys who are like, get me one of those.
Yeah.
But maybe there is. That's their collectibles. Well,
I mean, I collect K-Hart and Steiger stuff, mainly just tractors. So anything that I make is literally because customers have asked for it for the most part. I mean, there's something I might see going down the road and think, hey, that's cool. So I take pictures and I send it to Jason, and I'm like, you think this will sell? And he's like, yeah, sure. So then I make it. Now
you're saying you collect the big ones?
I actually have a couple big real Steigers. I have a 1700 and a 2200. And so but they're my friend's place in Indiana, Chris Wathen's. I live in town, so I don't have a place to put them. And he's got
not in the driveway.
Right. They're big as my house.
Yeah.
But he's got a big collection of 4-wheel drive tractors down there, and I met him basically through Jason Hassert that does toy tractor times, and so my toy stuff brought me into the real tractor world, and I went down and met him, and because I was like researching Steiger tractors, and so I went down to see his collection, and we became great friends instantly. And so found a couple of tractors. First one was a deal where we had to buy 2 tractors. So the guy had a 2200 and a 1700 for sale. And I only had the money for one, so I call up Chris. I'm like, hey, can I spend some of your money? He's like, on what? And I said, I found a 2200. He's like, okay, send me pictures. And 10 minutes later, he's like, yeah, let's do the deal. So we bought the tractors, and we come up with this semi and up to Montevideo and picked them up and took them down to Indiana. And so that's where my tractors are hanging out.
Nice.
But
no, you're on a mission this trip. You're from Iowa, but you landed in Fargo, North Dakota, of all places. What's your trip look like? Why are you here?
So through my Steiger stuff I do, I met Doug Steiger at the Red Power Roundup in 17 in Des Moines. And again, him and I became super close friends instantly. So I come up quite often and visit him, but I'm also out, driving around the countryside looking for tractors. Or I got like the serial number books from Doug's family. And so I had a starting place to start searching for the original barn-built Steigers. So through the process I started that in like 2017, and I've tracked down and probably about 113 or so of the 138 tractors that were built on the farm. And I've probably put my fingerprints and taken photos of probably 98 of them. And so my trip this time was just basically to come up and visit Douglas. He likes to joke around with me, and one time he's like, I haven't talked to you for quite a while, I haven't seen you, why don't you come up here and visit me, I'll take you out and buy you a burger. And so I talked to my wife. We were trying to fit it into our schedule to when we could come up and hang out with Doug and his wife. And my wife's like, well, I'm saving my vacation time to go out and see our new grandbaby. So she's like, you can go anytime you want. So I called Doug back. I said, what are you doing Thursday night? So he's like, okay, I'm around. So I drove up, had supper with him, hung out 3 or 4 hours, and drove home the next morning. That was like last August or something. And so I make a lot of trips like that just to come up and visit him, really.
Okay.
But this time, all this fell into place where my friend sent me the video, and then I Facebook stalked you and found you and sent you a message, and it all worked out so we could end up getting together. So I
like how you had proof too on the message. You're like, I'm the guy that built the Big Bud collectible. Yeah. And it wasn't like, you ever find something, okay guys, I found a wallet, whose is it? And everyone's like, it's mine. Well, you never expose like what it is. Yeah. You say, I found something, if you can tell me what it looks like, you know it's the owner. So like, you had pictures of the thing, and it's in your custom setting. Not that I would have probably questioned it, but I probably would have. Anyway, not only did you come visit, by the way, the Doug Steiger, the original Steiger guy?
Yeah. So
one of the brothers?
Him and his brother designed and built all the tractors on the farm in Thief River. So it's
wow. That's a rich history.
I'm not into sports figures or TV movie people or whatever, but Doug's kind of my idol, and to be able to hang out and have a cheeseburger with him and go over to his house afterwards and eat mint chip ice cream, Steiger green colored ice cream. So that's the favorite flavor. So
I'm gonna start to use that. I like mint chip, chocolate chip. Well, so Steiger the brothers sold it. Was it to Eugene Dahl then? Who then? I'm not going to say 100% on that kind of history, because mainly what I research is like, wow, it's in Thief River Falls. I know the beginnings.
Yeah. So once they moved to Fargo in 1969, there was a group of like 6 investors, and I know he was one of them. Doug's told me the story hundreds of times, but since that's not my niche, a Steiger, I don't keep it in my memory so well. But so they had investors involved to get them going, because they went from building it in a building that was like started out as a 65 by 120 barn or something like that. I don't know, but it grew into like at the time it was the largest building under one roof when they built the factory. So
here in Fargo.
Yeah.
Which is now
it's
Steiger tractor plant.
Yep.
And it's only a few miles away.
Yeah,
1 mile
it's
away,
like
maybe.
you're right in the back door.
Yep. If we went kitty corner, we'd probably step on their property and 100, 200 yards.
Yeah, and back when they were thriving, this building could have actually been part of their business.
That's right.
Because it's literally on the same, it's not divided by any streets.
Yep. So the cool thing, the connection here with me as a young whippersnapper here is when I first started my career as a mechanical engineer out of North Dakota State, I worked for a company called Amity. Well,
Okay.
Amity Technology used to be Concord Cedars. Many people know about that. The original Concord people. And their dad was Eugene Dahl. And Eugene Dahl was
Yeah, so
a big part of Steiger.
Connected, yeah.
And in fact, we have Eugene Dahl's since passed, but Howard Dahl, his son, that is the president of Amity Technology and was the president of Concord at the time before they sold the case. Howard's on our board. I've got a couple guys on our board. Dan Hofflin, who was big in the marketing side of Steiger. And I saw him as a mutual friend on Facebook.
Yeah, when I looked you up, I was surprised to see any mutual friends. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I asked you, like, hey, how do you know Dan Hofflin? And you're like, oh, through the Steiger group, you know. And I saw he thumbs up a post. So he's actively watching you too.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was a cool connection. And again, anytime I reference where we are in Fargo, I'm like, yeah, right near the Case tractor plant. I suppose the official term would be C&H Industrial. They've got the wheel loaders, the New Holland tractors. They got the bidirectional. They got the Steigers and the quad tracks. So really cool thing for our area.
Yeah.
A lot of tractors getting pumped out there. And a little claim to fame here as I continue to go on here, that we are actually in the Case tractor plant doing some services.
Oh, sweet.
Yep. We help them out when with some hydraulic testing and things on their tractors from time to time. So that's neat.
Yeah.
You had something else on your trip that you did. It wasn't just to visit Douglas Steiger. Who else did you visit?
Oh, Cole Nyman. Just another friend of mine I met through the Steiger tractor thing, and he kind of collects and farms with like Steiger Tigers, and he's got a really nice Big Bud, and so between our conversation messaging, you asked about ideas for having something to demo one of the 60-foot air seeders, and so I sent you a picture of Cole's Big Bud, and I asked Cole about it, and he was like, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So if you guys can get together and do some cool videos with the Big Bud pulling your machine, that'd be pretty awesome.
We will be looking into that because I think that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Have a unique tractor, a very unique air seeder that's doing some big things in the industry out there. That one will happen to be a K-Hart disc drill, and that one's a no-till drill. We'll be demoing the 60-foot in South Dakota, North Dakota, and then we've got a 40-foot K-Hart in the Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado area that'll be out there, and we've got some things planned for Pillar as well. So
awesome.
Some fun things to be watching for on our channel and social media.
For sure.
Yep. And then you've got a Larson Welding hoodie on. How did you get one of those?
Basically just because I got into steam engines and hung out with the guys up at Rollag quite a bit and did a lot of photos and measuring to make the steam engines. And so I saw they had a hoodie that had like a big case engine on the front. I saw several of them up there. I'm like, I want one of those. And I knew where the shop was. So I come down here one time to get a hoodie and ended up, this was the new style they had. They didn't have any of the old style left, but decided, I need one of those. So
very good.
I like to support people, and this is a pretty cool place. And they put a lot into the steam engine world and do great things for that. So
yeah, they're just a block away as well along the tracks there. And huge history, like you said, on the steam engines. Yeah. They've rebuilt them, repaired them. Then they're a welding / machining shop. Yep.
So Corey Anderson has the big Case 150 steam engine, and through all this toy stuff and everything, I got to know him pretty well. So we made the Case 150 engine, and I made a 50 bottom plow for it. And so they had their like 50th anniversary show up at Andover a couple of years ago or whatever. So I took one of the plows and tractors up and put it in their little toy shack they have there on display and everything. So
oh wow, very timely and fitting.
Yeah, there's like several hundred parts in that plow.
And that's on a video where there's a bunch of people standing on it, running the levers, right? Because each one had to be controlled with a lever.
I was going to be on there, but I didn't have overalls, or so I couldn't be on it because I didn't have overalls.
No shorts and flip flops, huh?
Right. No. But it would have been fun. But I always have a good time when I get to go visit those guys and hang out with them, and just the steam world is just really unique. It's fascinating, really, just to learn about and watch what they can do with what little technology they had when they built those things.
Oh yeah.
And it just, I guess to me, it's like that innovation and then the Steiger innovation. Those are two of the biggest things in agriculture that, brought us to where we are today. I mean, if those two key events didn't happen, where would we be at as far as technology? I mean,
absolutely. That's great history. Corey Anderson, you mentioned him with building that huge case. Was it a 500?
150 case.
150 case.
Yep.
We go back to the India Sioux days, and he's got Dakota Foundry.
Oh yeah.
Yep. It was a part of Horsch Anderson, Air Seeders. So yeah, really neat history, and really in this region, a lot of air seeders, a lot of air seeder history, a lot of tractor history. I tell a lot of people, I know there's great places all over the world, but Fargo, North Dakota is a real gem.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of industry here and a lot of history.
Yeah.
So you've got, what's coming up on your plate? What's something new that you're looking forward to?
Well, next year they're having that Rollag is going to be feature Steiger. So not only do I get to go enjoy steam engines, I get to go enjoy Steigers up at Rollag and just doing more toy shows and going to see grandbabies and just doing all the fun stuff in life. That's the best thing about working for yourself. You can kind of do whatever you want as long as you get your work done.
Yeah, as long as it works out. So let's give a shout out to the Rollag Steam Threshers reunion.
Yeah.
That is in September?
Yep.
September every year.
Was it Labor Day?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every year.
I used to go all the time as a kid. And what's crazy is they allow people to participate. It's not just only spectators or spectator only. You can, in a way, get your hands dirty. Now you have to work with somebody, and it's there. Like all these collectors or these enthusiasts come, and they're running these steam engines. It could be dinky ones on tables. I've gone into a building before, and there must have been 30 machines running all at the same time.
Just little scale model gas or steam engine things.
Yeah, and there's one guy in there, a couple guys in there that kind of keep them all going, work on something. And then there's all the way up to a shovel, an old-fashioned shovel. There's a train that goes around the thing. You can get train rides and get to other parts of the camp. There's camping. And full disclosure, my wife and I were first married. And actually, we had just had, I guess we were married for 2 years or something. And it was her first time there. It's not really, she wouldn't have signed up for it right on her own. I'm like, let's go to Rollag. And we just had our son, Russell, who's huge into tractors and farming and all that. And he was a baby. Like, we're carrying him in one of those carriers in the front of our chest, Yeah. And we come up to Rollag from a distance. Like, you can see you're getting close because the smoke from the hill. Yeah. It's that legit. There's so much coal-powered steam engines and things like that running that the whole hill, like the whole area, is just like this big smoke billowing off the hill, I call it, which I think is cool. Environmentalists might be a little
like
concerned.
Stepping back in time.
Yeah, that's how, if you would have looked at an industrial area with a whole bunch of coal-powered things running, you would have seen that. And then as you get in there, you can hear it because it's loud, and you can also see it. You're right there. It's actually like affecting your eyes, the coal smoke.
Yeah.
The soot is actually like sometimes burning your eyes if you're like really close to something that's pumping out this stuff. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm enticing people to go right now or scaring them away. It is worth the experience. It is worth going. and I know a lot of people enjoy it. I see a lot of kids driving their dads or granddad's tractors or great granddad's tractor that they restored, because they do parades throughout the days.
Yep.
They'll do different themes, right? This year's theme is
each year they
Steiger.
have like a feature manufacturing.
Yep.
So it just draws in a lot of different models from the main feature manufacturer, and then there's just a lot of people that go every year regardless. That's what they do, and that's what they enjoy. And it's really a pretty wild experience. Yeah,
they've timed it with harvest. Mm-hmm. So they've got some kind of a wheat or oat or barley harvest going on with that old equipment. Not only just the steam engines and the old tractors, they've got horse-drawn stuff.
Yeah.
All kinds of, there's horses there. So my grandpa used to take me when I was real little, loved it, and I'd do stuff. I think you can get involved with like throwing the corn cobs into these machines, and it'll, shell them, spit out the husk on one side, and there's just all these things, threshing. But then my dad, when my dad would take us, he used to have a team of Percherons, and his team, who he sold them, the owner of the team would always have them at Rollag. So we got to go, and we'd ride on one of those wagons that would shuttle people from the parking lot to the entrance with his Percherons that he used to own. And that was so cool. Like, I didn't grow up with those Percherons, or I was too young to know about them, but he'd sold them by the time I would have known anything about them. And to be able to go back and be around that was really cool.
Yeah. I like the sawmill too. I mean, they have like steam powered sawmills, so
true.
Just seeing how stuff was done back then and compared to how it's done now, it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, and with the train there, you've got train crossings. Mm-hmm. Well, when the train comes by, it blows the horn.
Yeah.
You know how loud that is? That will blow your ears.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention, you'll jump.
Yeah, so we got this like under 1-year-old child on, and it was like, oh no, he's already got a great start in life with some hearing loss, but we quickly covered his ears, and my wife looked at me with that look of, I can't believe you got me here, and I can't believe I'm here. But now we're 11 years later, or 10, let's call it 10 years later, and she's actually like, hey, that was really cool, and we should probably go back. So maybe we'll have to.
Well, next year will be a good year to go see the Steigers and the steam engines.
Yep. And it's Steiger theme, so that's worth checking out. The lime green, I call it lime green. Mm-hmm. RedE.Ag green. Yeah. RedE.Ag's got that color too, similar. Very unique. And what was unique about that is you knew it was a Steiger from a long ways away. Mm-hmm. You could see it if it was a collectible or old thing sitting in the trees, you saw it. But if you saw it in the field, if you saw it on someone's farm, and you still see them out there. You still see them in farmyards when I go inspect their cedars. I see them. It's neat.
That was Doug's whole point when he picked a color for the tractors, with something that would be recognizable, because most of the farm equipment was red or gray or, that other green.
Yeah, right.
And he basically picked the color. The first 3 or 4 tractors were probably painted with the Euclid green is what they used. And then after a few tractors that were built, then they decided to get their own color mixed and just matched up to the Euclid green color, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
And the great part is they're starting to make a few tractors now that are painted back in the original color green. So
that's right. I've seen a few. Drooled a little bit. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that from the factory?
Yeah.
Okay, because before you had to go send it in and get a custom paint job.
Yeah. So like when they started out, any tractor that wasn't green went to Walt's Body Shop here in Fargo and was painted there. So like the industrial tractors and the Stars and Stripes tractors, the Pink Panther and the Boffus Blue Panther.
One of them was pink.
Yeah.
For like a breast cancer awareness, or maybe just
it was a race car driver bought the tractor. He was a farmer, and green is an unlucky color for race car drivers. So the Pink Panther was a big popular cartoon back then. And so he's like, can you make it pink for me? And they're like, sure.
Nice.
So
nice. So now you can get a green one from the factory. That's neat. And they got the new style. the new body style, the big engines, 700 and some horse.
Yeah, 785, I think, is the biggest one I've seen so far.
I've heard those engines are actually the same engines out of like the forge or the windrowers. What are they called? Haybines, and they're like 1,000 horse capable.
Yeah.
So they can tweak them. So I'm guessing you'll continue to see that horsepower grow.
I'm sure we'll see 1,000 horsepower tractor from the factory.
Yeah. And that was Bud's big deal back in the day, was high horsepower to pull those big implements, because Montana's a big state, big plots of land, and you got to cover some acres.
Yeah.
Yep. So we'll look forward to seeing you at Rollag. Probably have to do a meet and greet for you, though, after this podcast. It's going to go big.
Yeah, you're going to make me famous.
No, you're doing this for Welker's, which was very, very generous and thoughtful. Want to say thank you for bringing me one.
You're welcome.
My kids were like, I want to get one. I'm like, yeah, right. He's probably got 100 people saying that. So I got number 4. Yep. Number 4, I'm going to have you sign it. 'Cause then it's like, legit. I didn't, get it copied or something.
Right.
Yeah. So that's cool. What else?
So talk about, where did the passion come from that led to this? You talked about the Steigers a lot. Where did that start? I mean, what in your history? I mean, how did the passion for the Steigers start, which ended up leading to kind of what you're doing now?
So it probably really started with toys. I mean, I just liked anything with wheels. And then obviously, like, tractors were like a hot rod because they had big back tires and small front tires. And I always joke around. I had an uncle that was a pretty diehard John Deere farmer, and then I had another uncle that was an IH salesman, and he must have been a good salesman because I like IH. But I guess the Steiger thing was another uncle of mine, a farmer across the road from his place, had a Steiger in the field all the time. And I was like fascinated with the bright green. And so that's kind of what led me to Steiger. And just the toy part just kind of grew because of something with wheels, I guess. But then I started collecting them. And once I pretty much had everything the manufacturers made, I just started custom building my own stuff for my own collection. And then people started saying, hey, can you make me one? And trying to figure out ways to duplicate it without having to build it from scratch completely every time. Jumped into the spin casting, and then it went from there.
How, you said you had 15 printers at home? On an average day, how many of those are humming along?
Most of the time, if I'm not out running around like this, if I'm home and working solid, they're probably over 20 hours a day, because I'll, the only time they're down literally is like when I'm taking prints off and getting them ready to do the next print, because I'll set up long prints to run overnight when I'm sleeping, so I can wake up in the morning and stick something new on. So,
John, how many finished products do you think you have per week?
Yeah, that probably varies from a couple dozen to maybe 60, 70. Wow. It just depends on what, if I'm making something with, 10 parts or 30 parts and stuff like that. But I have probably over 2,000 designs on my computer. So literally the biggest thing people say to me is, how do you keep coming up with new stuff all the time? Because I literally bring new stuff to Dalton's like every week. And so I'm like, well, I've got way more drawings than what I have finished models. So I just decide, okay, I'm going to print this one and go for that this week.
Okay, I just did the math. 6 years is 2,000, a little over 2,000 days.
Oh, yeah.
2,000 designs. I mean, you're cooking. You've got like a design a day. That's amazing.
Well, like I said, I mean, God brought this whole business to me, and I don't have the design background or anything, so I can be sitting there doing something totally different on my computer, and next thing I know, I got something drawn out. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let's test print it. So it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Scott Galliart, folks. You got to meet this guy if you get a chance. Toy shows around the country.
Yeah, we do. Jason Dalton does a show in Altoona in Iowa in January every year. I do the St. Louis Gateway Farm Toy Show in February. I'm going to do Lafayette, Indiana in March, and I did Grand Forks last year in March, so I'll probably go back to Grand Forks this year. And then I do the summer show and the big national show at Dyersville every year.
All right.
So those are the big ones I hit, and maybe a few little ones here and there. I'm starting to get into, I did like Albert City Thresher reunion set up there. And then I did Andover, the James Valley threshing show a couple of years ago. I'd like to go back and set up there again. That was fun. And so try to do a few steam shows and get a different crowd, and they go crazy over the steel wheel stuff I make. I literally will sell out at one of those sales or shows.
Wow. You have a lot of them. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see them all. I just kept seeing them. Now, also Dalton Farm Toys.
Yeah.
Online there. You can get some toys, some collectibles. You can get some collectibles on there, and makes it easy. You can look at them, get real good images of making a decision and search them. It's really neat.
Yeah, so I pretty much just tell everybody, I don't want to have a retail website myself, so go there, and most people end up just buying from him because he has them on hand, and then some people come back and order through me, so it works either way, and usually if I'm selling it, I can end up building it so I can sell it because I don't keep a whole lot of stuff in inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So
very cool.
Works out good for both of us.
Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it, Scott.
And thanks for mentioning the whole thing in the video. I mean, I was just pretty shocked, and this has been kind of a whirlwind deal, but it's been great.
Yep.
I think we'll have a good friendship from now on, too.
I agree. If you haven't seen it yet, the Welker Farms video, a related video from RedE, when we went and toured their Big Bud, at the time of this airing, we're at 60-some thousand views. It's performed well for us, and if you haven't seen it, it's on there. And Scott and Nick definitely want to say thank you. I've been texting them this morning, and they're interested to connect again.
Okay. Yeah, I think I messaged Nick last night and talked to him a little bit. So
good. Yep. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening to the After Hours Ag podcast, where you never know who we will have on these episodes. It could be a farmer, could be an enthusiast. Just a great, rich history, and we love to share these stories. Give us a great review. We'd appreciate it. Share and send it to others who might want to hear it. And until next time, keep on farming if you're a farmer, and God bless.